Maria Turner had never thought of herself as a villain. But when she looked back at the events that unfolded decades ago, the actions she took felt as though they belonged to someone else. Someone who wasn't her. Someone who had no understanding of the consequences of their actions. It was 1960 when Maria found herself standing in a cold, sterile hospital room, holding a tiny, fragile newborn girl in her arms. Her baby, the child she had brought into the world. Yet, in that moment, Maria could not bring herself to love her daughter. The decision had already been made. The nurses at the hospital had already looked at her with pity when she said, "I can't do this." She was only 18 years old, living in a small, conservative town where her family's reputation meant everything. The shame of an unwed pregnancy, the societal expectations, and the pressure from her parents. Maria was overwhelmed. She wasn't ready to be a mother. She was still a child herself. She had dreams of leaving her small town, finding a life of her own, pursuing an education. But none of that was possible with a baby. And so, she made the decision that would haunt her for the rest of her life. She handed the baby girl to the nurse, the one who had offered her comfort, and walked out of that hospital without ever looking back. The baby was put up for adoption. Maria told herself that it was the right thing to do. Her parents wouldn't know. Her future could still be hers to make. For years, Maria kept the secret hidden away, buried deep inside her. She went on to college, met a man, and married him. But there was always something missing, a piece of her that felt incomplete. Yet, she never told anyone about the baby she had given up. The guilt was something she carried in silence, always wondering where her daughter was, if she was okay, if she had grown up loved and cared for. Maria went on to have a family of her own, and her life seemed to move forward. But the memories of that baby girl would never leave her. The haunting question, "What if?" lingered in her mind every day. What if her daughter resented her for abandoning her? What if she was out there somewhere, angry at her for not being there, for choosing a different life? What if she was searching for answers, for the truth? Maria's mind would sometimes drift back to that hospital room, the moment she had given up the only child she would ever have. But she never told anyone. She never spoke about it. Instead, she pushed the guilt into the back of her mind, telling herself she had done the right thing. But now she was 60 years old, and everything was about to change. It was a crisp autumn afternoon when Maria's world was turned upside down. She was at home, flipping through a photo album of her grandchildren, smiling at the pictures of her life that had been full of love and joy. Her children, her husband, her peaceful life in a quiet suburb. It all felt complete, or so she thought. The phone rang. Maria picked up the receiver absent-mindedly, not expecting anything life-altering to happen. "Hello?" she answered. "Mrs. Turner?" a woman's voice asked, its tone calm, but there was something in it, something that made Maria's heart skip a beat. "Yes, this is she. How can I help you?" "This may sound strange, but my name is Lily Martin, and I believe I am your daughter." The words hit Maria like a punch to the stomach. She froze, unable to comprehend what she had just heard. Her heart began to race. She dropped the photo album onto the table and sat down heavily in the chair. For a long moment, there was silence on both ends of the line. The phone seemed to hum in Maria's ear, but she couldn't bring herself to speak. "Are you there?" Lily asked, her voice more tentative now. Maria took a deep breath. "I'm here. But how? What do you mean?" Lily explained. She had been adopted as a baby. Her parents had raised her in a loving home. But as she grew older, Lily had always felt like there was something missing, a yearning for something she couldn't explain. She had spent years trying to find out about her birth mother, scouring adoption records, following leads. And now, through a stroke of luck, she had found Maria's name. Maria's mind spun. She couldn't believe it. Her daughter, the baby she had abandoned, the girl she had never even seen grow up. She was on the other end of the line, alive, searching for answers. Lily told Maria that she had always wondered about her biological mother. She knew that the adoption had been open, but her birth mother had always stayed anonymous. But something about her intuition had led her to search harder than ever before. She had uncovered information, and after years of digging, she finally found Maria. The conversation was long, full of questions, emotions, and uncertainty. Maria's heart ached as she listened to Lily tell her about her life, about how she had grown up in a loving family, how she had succeeded in her career, how she had children of her own. Yet, Maria couldn't help but feel a pang of jealousy. She had missed out on all of it. The milestones, the first steps, the birthdays, the celebrations. It wasn't fair. But at the same time, a part of her felt relief. She wasn't angry. Lily wasn't angry. They both wanted the same thing, answers. But Maria was still conflicted. Could they really build a relationship after all these years? Could forgiveness ever bridge the gap of what had been lost? Maria agreed to meet Lily. It was strange, unsettling, and yet, a part of her was ready. She had spent decades hiding from the truth, from the memory of abandoning her daughter. But now she couldn't run anymore. She needed to face this. The meeting was set for the following Saturday. Maria spent the week leading up to it with a mix of dread and hope. She didn't know what to expect. She had no idea what she was walking into, what Lily would think of her. But she had to try. She had to finally seek forgiveness, from herself and from Lily. The day arrived, and Maria stood at the window, looking out at the park across the street. Her heart was beating so loudly she could hardly hear anything else. She felt like she was on the edge of a cliff, and there was no turning back. The past was coming to life, and she had no idea how it would unfold. She waited at the local cafe where they had agreed to meet. The moment Lily walked in, Maria recognized her instantly. She had her eyes, the same eyes Maria had seen in the mirror for years. She looked so much like her, yet so different. She had her own life, her own story. But there was no mistaking it, this was her daughter. Lily smiled nervously as she approached. They both stood there, unsure of how to begin. Finally, it was Lily who spoke first. "I don't know how to start this," she said quietly. "I've spent my whole life wondering about you, why you left me, why you gave me up. I don't blame you, not really. But I had to know. I had to understand." Maria felt a lump form in her throat. She swallowed hard before speaking. "I never wanted to abandon you," Maria said, her voice shaking. "I was scared. I was young. I didn't know what to do. I thought I was doing the best thing for you. But I was wrong. I can never make up for that. I can never get back the years we lost." Lily reached across the table and took her hand. "I don't blame you either," she said softly. "I had a wonderful life. But now I need to know you. I want to know you. I want us to have the time we've lost." The two women sat there, talking for hours. They shared stories of their lives, their triumphs, their struggles, and the missing pieces. It was the beginning of something neither of them expected. Something that would take time to rebuild, to heal, to understand. But it was a start. Over the following months, Maria and Lily began to build a relationship, slowly and cautiously at first. It wasn't easy, but they both worked at it. They both had to forgive not just each other, but themselves. They had to heal from the wounds of the past, and they had to learn to love each other again, not as mother and child, but as two women finding their way toward each other. Maria's relationship with her own children had changed. She had always been a good mother to them, but now, with Lily in her life, she understood the depth of her own maternal instincts. She saw her children in a new light, realizing that the love she had for them was something she could never take for granted. Lily, too, learned to forgive herself. She had spent years searching for answers, feeling like she was missing something. But now, she had found it, not just in Maria, but in herself. She realized that the love she had always yearned for was already inside her, that she had the strength to forgive the past and embrace the future. As Maria stood at Lily's wedding, watching her daughter walk down the aisle, she realized something profound. Life is full of twists and turns, and sometimes we can't predict where it will take us. We make mistakes, we make choices, and sometimes we can't undo them. But we can learn from them. We can forgive. We can find healing, even in the most unlikely places. If you're watching this, Think about the relationships in your life. The ones that have been broken, the ones you've pushed away. Life is too short to hold on to anger and regret. Don't wait until it's too late to rebuild what you've lost. You never know when life will throw an unexpected curveball, and you'll find that the one person you thought you lost forever is still there, waiting for you to reach out. If this story touched your heart, subscribe to Unforeseen Fate for more powerful stories about life, love, forgiveness, and second chances. Share this story with someone who needs to hear it, and let's spread the message of healing, reconciliation, and the power of forgiveness.